how can I pay Osho back? I can die completely for him. I can surrender unconditionally to truth for him because he's my master, and I feel that I'd like to pay him back something of what he has given me. And so to this day, for 26 years, there's been a light here so others may see. This light was initiated by Bhagwan Shree Rajneesh.
Great is the fortune of the spiritual seeker who finds a guru. That's what they all been saying. They all needed a master, be that Jesus, Kabir, Rumi. Everybody needed a master to wake up. And Kabir says,
Yes.
great is the fortune of the one who found the master, because that's how I learned to see without eyes.
Hello. Yeah. At this stage, I usually say, welcome to Satsang. It's lovely to see you again.
Very nice.
Hello, Swaha.
Hello.
My name's Tosh.
Yes.
I'm sitting in the room here with Vishrant, and I'll be asking the questions tonight.
That's good.
So the first question is, in the moment when enlightenment happened for each of you and your ego was no longer there, how did your life change before and after that moment? I'll ask Vishrant that one first.
Okay. And so I'd been in the presence of my Advaita Vedanta teacher for a week, and for a few days I had put it down to his presence, the absence of I, the absence of I and the experience of being vast in everything. And so I didn't realize what had happened. I didn't realize until the following day when I woke up and Vishrant was still gone. And this expanded reality that we are was still being witnessed. And it was at that point that I started to examine what had happened. And my mind was shocked because it just didn't think that that was possible. That it had gone. That there was nobody here anymore. There was movement but nobody moving. Talking but nobody talking. But there was also an absence of any connection to my past as Vishrant. And there was an absence of any projection to the future. And so there was a big fat nothing here. And it made me realize that Vishrant had gone. And the mind was still here, the personality was still here, but the identification with it had disappeared. And nothing had taken its place. There was just an absence. It was a beautiful absence, but it was an absence. I looked at my wife and I looked at my children because they were with me, and the connection was gone also. It was like I didn't have a wife, I didn't have children. It was all gone. My past was gone, my future was gone. But something inside of me, in my mind, stayed true to whatever commitment I had made to this woman about staying and being her husband and being the father of the children. But when I looked at her and I looked at them, the connection wasn't there any longer. It had gone, along with everything else. All fear had gone. And it took a week before my wife actually realised fully what had happened to me. And she came to me and she said, "I have lost my husband, haven't I?" And I said, "Yes, he's gone. But I'm still here, but he's gone." And she was quite disturbed by that, because she could see the truth of it. But what to do? Vishrant was gone. Does that answer the question for you, Tosh?
Yes, thanks, Vishrant. How about you, Swaha? How did your life change when enlightenment happened and your ego was no longer there?
Well, it's very difficult to put it into words, no, what's happening, because it is like a rebirth or a tremendous explosion where all the old is destroyed. And I was living in Pune at the time. I was very involved in leading groups, and in fact I was in a group when I got very sick. This was 1 year exactly after Osho had left his body. And I got very sick with dengue fever and almost died there. And it happened during that time where I had let go of everything, because my master was gone, everything was gone. What was the point? And I was very much silent with myself. I didn't see much point of being there, but I didn't know what was next. So in this process of physically almost dying, something shifted. I felt like Osho had been operating on me for this week. I was laying there. And when I came back to myself, or when I could move again, and I was living alone at the time, my girlfriend was still in America, and when I started moving again, yeah, it was just what can I don't know what to call it. It's like a blissful vacuum and emptiness where you function just as clarity with yeah, there is no you there, and the thoughts came very, very, very slow for many days, just like responding to the things that was happening in the body, like, oh, you have to go pee. Okay. Hunger is there. You have to eat. So what was very strange for me was to go back to the ashram and start dealing with situations which I couldn't do, and they didn't understand what was happening. And in a way, neither did I. I was just blank, in a blank, empty, blissful space. But I couldn't function anymore, so I just totally dropped out, which was fine for me, but my so-called responsibilities in the ashram wasn't fulfilled, so it was a lot of energy around it, so I just retreated into my apartment and walking by the river and sitting watching the children playing in the street. Everything was very blissful, and I remember when I slowly was, like it didn't leave, this space didn't leave, no? Because I had Satoris before, and I was very lost, but I was found, no? Because the old was gone and you had to function. So everybody looks at you the same, but it's nobody there, it's just the presence. So I had to get used to functioning in that empty space. So I felt like it's a long way to come back to yourself, to lose all your identity or your conditioning, but there's also a long way to come back to function in the world, because you are like a newborn again. And I remember throwing all my, just like you read about the Zen master or something, I was throwing all my books and everything I had, because everything was just useless. Because you are in that space where everything is as it is. There is no question, there is no answer, there's just an isness. And I must say I got help from existence, or I felt like it was my master who helped me, but I met another enlightened being at that time who helped me also to settle and accepting what was happening. And in the ashram, I had no interest anymore. It was just totally between me and Osho, me and my master, everything was happening. That was the only link I had to anybody. And then slowly I met other enlightened masters. And the same year also I met Papaji, who took care of me like his son. So existence took care, but it was, there's no words to describe it, it's just is. And it was a tremendous release. And to integrate it in the world maybe is strange, but you are just so, there is no problems anymore. There is no you, there is no identification with an ego, so there is no problems, there is no fear, there is no anything. It's just a tremendous peace and clarity and beingness. So to start functioning from that, of course everything, your life will totally change. Because you are not the one you were a few days ago, you know. It is really a rebirth. Rebirth as 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, no?
So from this, after your realization, after your final awakening, what would you say motivates you to get back into the world? Or what motivated you to become functional again?
Yeah. There was no motivation as such, because life, you are just then part of life. You are drowned in life. There is no separation between you or life. So life was guiding me. There was no me that I had an motivation for anything. Like I said, on the soul level or spiritual level, I met other enlightened beings that allowed me to get more settled and rooted and accepting this space, because you don't know what's happening, because it's totally new. You don't know what's happening when you are born. You are just born, no? So it was like that. I didn't know what, but even people in the ashram, slowly they asked, you know, wow, what has happened? It's such a light. You look enlightened, but there is nobody there who is anything. You are just there as a presence. So for me, it was more uncomfortable. So I retreated more and more in my own beingness, no? And I went back to America, but I couldn't function anymore. So my girlfriend, we finished everything there and went back to India. So I just felt the pull to be in the Himalayas and be with other. Yeah, I couldn't even say, because there was no need for that. I just met people on my path, you could say, who supported it. But I just felt for living in peace. That was it. And I had been so long in India that it was natural for me to go back to the Himalayas, and I felt like I went with my master, with Osho, because he always wanted to go to the Himalayas. And there we were. There was no motivation, and there's still no motivation to do anything, but things is happening, no? Life happens. Hmm? Life is happen. As long as you are in the body, life is happening through the body. There is no you to do or want anything, no? That that is let go, total let go. That you don't even know about, but there is no doing anymore because there is nobody there to do anything, but life is happening, you are here, as long as you are in the physical. Does that answer anything?
Yeah, I think so.
It's hard to talk about these things.
Thank you. How about you, Vishrant? What would you say motivated you after awakening to do anything?
Pretty much nothing. I had a full client base as a psychotherapist and a full client base as a naturopath. And when I came back to Perth from the retreat that I'd woken up on, people would come to see me and I'd just stare at them and they'd go away because I had nothing to say. They would ask me things and I would say nothing. I'd just stare at them. And so I lost my whole client base inside a week because I just didn't want to talk. I would just be there for them, but I wouldn't talk. And I'd sit in I had this big room, like a games room, and I'd just sit in it all day, staring into space, blissed out to the max. And slowly people started to come and just want to sit with me, which was nice. I didn't have to talk to them. And I'd just sit with people and they would come, they'd go. And that's actually how satsang began. People just wanting to come and sit and be in the presence and the beauty that I was sitting in beingness. But I became quite useless because I had no motivation to do anything. It was just nothing and more nothing. But what was present was love. And as these people came to sit with me, I noticed that they were suffering. They were caught. They were still imprisoned in their minds. And compassion arose in me to try to help them out of their suffering. And this is why satsang started. I was motivated by love to hold satsang to try to help people get free of their own egos, to wake up. And the only motivator I've had since awakening is that one motivator, love. It appears, it just loves, it doesn't have any other qualities, it just loves, but it affects the mind here in such a way that it just wants to take care of people. It wants to help them if it can, direct them if it can towards beingness, towards love. And so the ambitious one died and never came back. The one that wanted enlightenment never came back. Even the desire for enlightenment had died 2 days before awakening was recognized. There was just nothing, just bliss. And no need to do anything. In a lot of ways, I felt absolutely useless, and that was perfect, to be useless. And people would come. I loved them to bits, but I had nothing really to say at that stage. Nothing came out. And so they left again. it took a while for me to learn how to become human again, because I'd sit all day long staring into space and my eyes wouldn't shut. And so I had to learn to blink again. And I had to learn to behave like a human again, because I wasn't behaving like a human. There was just nothing of the human left. It had gone. There was just beingness looking out, or emptiness looking out, without a thought. The mind had gone silent. It was very beautiful. My mind was profoundly content for no reason whatsoever, just resting in beingness. But I realised if I was going to try to hold satsang and help people, I needed to become human again. I needed to at least appear human. But the identification with the human had gone. The body was now just an avatar, a vehicle to be taken care of, but the identification wasn't there. The same as the identification with the mind wasn't there. It had all gone. And so now for 26 years, I've been trying to help people find heart and help people find the beauty of beingness. And this is a love affair with God as self, a love affair with truth as self. Any time that I consider Osho, gratitude arises for my beloved master who showed me the way. And this has been like that for so long now. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing to think of, the image of my master.
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful, but it's like I don't feel a separation from him like I used to when I was before. It's like I feel like in a lot of ways I am him and he is me, but I am also Swaha and he is me. It's like the sense of separation is not there. The sense of being everything is there. The sense of being one with everybody is there. It's very beautiful, but it's almost impossible to describe.
This is the difficult thing, but when you say that, and this is how it is now, it's like the Enlightenment itself has matured. Now, what was difficult is to talk about that happened 30 years ago, because then that is the problem. To talk about it now is easy because you have grown into it. But it is like that. I can remember that also, that it takes time to become human again, no? Because you have lost yourself and you are in a grown-up body. And that for me, that took years. And luckily I met people on the way. And Papaji said the first year that you are so lucky, you have found it, you got it, you have to share this, you are strong. And go back to your country. And I said, I live in India. If anybody, I will take them to you. I want to be in silence. And that silence, that took maybe 5 years before existence. People came around, but it wasn't many people around because I was living in the mountains. I was in India. And for me, it happened like I was invited because people started coming, and some fell in love and recognized something, and one man invited me to a big gathering, like a spiritual festival, if I could come there and share. And I did, because I felt it was meant to happen. And that was the point where I went public, but it wasn't out from me. But then, as soon as that happened, then suddenly I had a following. Where did they come from? So it took many years for me, but then it was more ingrained. Still difficult. So that's what I meant when I mentioned before, like it takes long time to get back to the self, to get rid of the identification and the separation and the mind and all that. But then it takes long time to function again as somebody, but being a nobody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I understand. I think our journeys have been similar.
Yeah. It's just when I listen to you, you were in the marketplace, you were having your work, you were having your therapist role, your healer, whatever, and I dropped all that from in the ashram. I was in that, but everything, I had no interest. I couldn't function like that. I just wanted to be with myself or with my master, no? And the pull was to the Himalayas, you know.
My pull was to silence and stillness, so I just sat still in this big room. And I lost all my client base within a week, basically, because I just didn't want to talk. It was a very hard time for everybody around me, because they didn't really understand what had happened.
Yeah. How can? You cannot understand. It never happened before.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, and I met, and all the, I say all because a connection from the past, enlightened man called Girda. And we were that first year traveling a lot in the Himalayas. And we were just sitting, you know. We were just sitting. And that first year I was sitting a lot, like maybe 10, 12 hours a day, just sitting, because there was nothing to do. So I felt also in that period, everything got settled, you know, because my life wasn't like, I didn't have to do anything. I could allow that to be. And not only that, but I had the nature and I had other enlightened people around me. So, but there was no wish.
You're fortunate.
Yeah, but there was absolutely no wish to come back to the world, you know. Like I said, I don't want to go back to the plains again. I want to be here.
Yeah, I understand.
But then again, we have done that in the past, so in this life, we had to come back.
Yes, had to come back. I was very fortunate also that I had a fellow who was awake who was in town. His name was Devamarg, and he used to come and sit with me every day. And when people used to come, he'd sit with me as well. And it really helped to have him there, because he was so expanded and I was so expanded, and the pair of us would light the room up for people, and they loved it. And if he held satsang a little bit later, because I started satsang a little bit later, I'd be in his satsang supporting his satsang, and he'd be in mine supporting mine. So for the year after awakening, we supported each other in holding satsang by being in the same room as each other. And it was very, very beautiful to have him there. He was quite strict Advaita Vedanta, and I was more confrontational. And so there was a bit of a mismatch there, but still. Because I had come through the Osho washing machine of primal therapy and encounter therapy. And so I had all that inside of me still. And so I was encountering people who were coming to satsang, whereas he was just taking them into beingness through self-inquiry. And so there was a bit of a mismatch. But I felt very fortunate during that period to have him. Yeah, and I haven't seen him for a long time, so I don't know what's happened to him. I don't tend to hang on to anything from the past, whether it's anything. I just hang on to nothing, including friends.
Yeah, but this...
If they want to come, they come. If they don't want to come, they don't need to come.
But this is very, very good when you have that experience, because you are reborn. So it is a support, and that was the biggest help I could ever have in that fragile newborn space I was, to have other people who was more grounded in it, you know. So that was a great help. And I went to a place after a year or two called Osho Oasis. We had the Osho Center in Tulum in Mexico. And I was there for some months. They invited me there. And then I started having satsang and like confronting people or shaking them up. But I dropped it because I was too direct, you know. I didn't know how to move there, you know, because I just came from that space. So then then I dropped it for another 3-4 years to become more human.
Yes.
So
I understand.
Yeah, because the truth is too hard for people who live in lies, you know, in illusion.
Yes. It is very difficult for them. And so I have chosen a pathway of holding satsang that is very straight, very raw, very direct, to eliminate those who aren't seekers.
Yes.
And so the people who come to me are the ones who are willing to risk it all. They're the ones that I'm interested in, because my understanding is they have the best chance.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like triage, you know. You try to help the ones you can, not the ones you can't.
Yeah.
And so I'm still very Shiva-like in satsang, rather than Krishna-like. I'm not like Mugi. I'm more Shiva-like, and it matches the personality that is here, which was very Shiva-like before. That's why it liked encounter therapy, because it enjoyed the directness that Tirtha. You remember Tirtha?
Yes.
He was my main teacher, and he was very direct with me. He was one of these fellows who could see me and who was willing to tell me what he could see, and so I was very attracted to him as a teacher. At the ranch, mostly at the ranch, and in Australia when he visited here. But I understand what you're saying about people aren't ready. They're not ready for the truth because they've been so brainwashed into believing a whole pile of bull dust, really. And telling them the truth, they get upset with you and they want to fire back. Such is life.
Which is beautiful. It's the Leela.
The play, I love the play. I do love the play.
I think, I don't know, when you said that with Shiva and Krishna, I think I'm everything rolled into one. I don't know. The Osho was so vast, and I think I've been in so many different parts that, of course, love. With Osho also, it was really through meditation, I feel, I came to that point, just more and more silence, more and more who am I situation, especially after he left the body. But even when I was with him as a guard and sitting outside his room, it was meditation, and I loved night meditation. But when that exploded, then it turned into a beautiful love and compassion. So it's this both. If you go through the love, you have to become silent, meditative. If you go through the meditation, it will be love, you know. So
Yes.
the fragrance of love is always there, but that's the fragrance of truth. If you can handle it.
If you can handle it, yeah. I see it all as I see love as every particle in the universe, and sometimes I don't. But I don't know whether it's every particle or it's not, because sometimes I see it as every particle in the universe, and sometimes just emptiness. You know, just the nothingness. But I believe that seekers deserve the truth. And so I try not to water it down. I try to keep it at cordial strength, because that's how I liked it. I liked it straight. I didn't want to have someone telling me how lovely I was when actually there was problems in me that needed to be addressed. And this is one of the reasons I liked Ananda Tirtha so much, because he was merciless. He would tell me, you know. And I actually enjoyed that, because I wanted to see. I wanted to see what it was that was in my way. And so when people come to satsang, after a while I get to know them, and I tell them what I can see. And hopefully they can handle it. There's a lot of support here for them.
Yeah, well, that's the whole art. To feed the people.
Yeah, holding them while telling them.
To feed the people according to their hunger.
Yeah, what they come. It's very beautiful to see the seekers coming, to see their enthusiasm for truth, their enthusiasm for heart. It's beautiful. It's my love affair. When I see that, it's just wow.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Here's another one.
That makes it worth it, no? When you see that.
Yes.
I say that many times. It makes it worth it when you see people flowering, no? When they awaken.
Yeah, flowering. Yeah, that's a good word for it, flowering. I do see it, but I also realize that they're in a very fragile space that needs to be supported in ways that are soft and are also hard at the same time. Because the ego is so tricky when it starts to disappear, and it looks for different methodologies to survive. For me, the last ego thing was surviving, was measuring everything. How gone am I? How much love am I experiencing? And I realized, hey, the ego is hiding out as the helper. The ego is hiding out and surviving as the helper, the one that measures. And so that was let go of. And that was one of the last things that was let go of, the helper thoughts that were actually in the way of going beyond the mind. So now I don't measure how gone I am, I'm just gone. Just gone. I love the flowers you have around you.
Yes.
They're beautiful. Orchids, by the looks of them.
That's how it is here in Brazil now.
Ah. I have some sannyasins in Brazil.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Of course you do.
In fact,
I've never been to Brazil.
In fact, we have taken over a whole village here. It must be a few hundreds of them that has moved here. And I just want to do in peace, but it's impossible when you first open up. It comes a lot, no?
Yes, it does. There's a lot of people now, and it's a lot of effort to talk to everybody. Too many emails, too many texts, too many... But that's the way it is, you know, and the love affair allows it. The love affair allows it. It says yes.
That's how
yes,
it is.
Yes, yes.
That's how it is.
It's lovely to talk to you. I don't get to talk to other awake people. I just don't. All the people I talk to are still ego-based, or they're waking up, and that's the dangerous stage I talk about. That stage where they're starting to find themselves as beingness, but the shadow is still there. The shadow of the I is still there, and it hasn't surrendered itself completely yet. It hasn't given itself completely over to truth. And trying to talk that bit into letting go.
Yeah, it's an impossible task, but it happens, but very seldom, I would say, because that's the paradox. Enlightenment is very easy because of our nature, but it's very, very difficult.
Well, it's an accident as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
it's not
it is.
something you can do.
No, it's
an accident that happens.
It's an accident. It's a divine accident by grace.
By grace, which means I don't know. Anytime I say by grace, it means I don't know.
But to talk together for us is like we can just rest in that emptiness, in that beingness. So there is no conflict, you know. So whatever is happening, because we can just sit in silence, which in fact would be the best, but also we have learned to talk from that silence. So it's fine.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. We have the same love affair. The love affair with it's a love affair. I have a love affair with humanity, with humans. And from my perspective, it's a love affair with self. Because I am that. I am that too. And there's different... It depends on how far back I am as to how much I can work out here. If I come out here and get in touch with the suffering and the pain of the people out here, I can work out here more with them. If I go too far back, I become useless. I just sit there. And so I try to stay out as much as I can. I started riding motorbikes again after awakening just to keep me out in the world because I was disappearing too much. And I still ride motorbikes. Not very well though. Too gone.
I ride horse. I have horses, so I ride horses because then I can surrender to the horse. Is even just let go. And the motorbike, you have to do something with the horse. If you have a good horse, you can just let go.
Let it go. I understand because I used to ride horses as well. So I do understand, yes. With a motorbike, if you let it go, you're dead.
That's the art of balance. To be there, but not to be there. No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Well, I stopped riding motorcycles after satsang because I used to, because I couldn't lean anymore. I was too gone to lean, and so I realised I mustn't ride motorcycles after satsang.
Good.
But early in the morning, it seems that I can ride okay up until about lunchtime.
Yeah.
So I do have another question.
Tosh. It's nice to hear from you again.
Yeah. Hello, is anybody else there? Okay, Tosh.
I'll ask this one to Swaha first.
Yeah.
Because you have both talked about you've both talked about Osho being with you now and coming through you. how is it that a man who died in 1990 is here now?
Because I'm not here also now. So, in a way, when you wake up, you are no more, awakening means you are no more identified with your name and form. No? You have found that which is timeless, your true self, your soul, whatever, your spirit, your consciousness, your love. So, when that is settled, which is all what awakening is, then you live more in the timeless, which is peace, which is silence, which is consciousness. So that is what we are talking about, that in that space, which is what Osho is. Osho is not his body. Osho is that consciousness manifested that comes through his physical form, the same as it is with us, all of us. So when you go beyond that name and form, there is only isness, consciousness, peace, emptiness, consciousness, call it what you want, God. So when that is accepted and settled, which it is what it is, I am that, then there is always that. That's what I mean. So Osho is always here because we are always here. Only when we are identified with this form, this personality, this ego, then there is a separation. So when that is broken, when you have come back to yourself, when you are resting in who you really are, which is what awakening is, then there is no separation. And not only with Osho, but with all the masters, because it's the same. It's the same consciousness, bliss, truth coming through different forms. So when that separation happened between me and myself, which means me and Osho and all the masters, then it's all the same. There is no more separation. So it's always there, because everything is always here and now.
Yes.
So as long as people hang on to Osho as the name and the form, as some individual, then it will be a problem. You can never experience that. But when you wake up, which Osho always said, I'm just like you. How beautiful is that, no? That the Master say, I'm just like you. I'm saying the same. You are saying the same. But you cannot believe that. And Osho, his grandeur, his magnificent form and the play he was playing out on planet Earth was so big that there was a big distance. So if I say, I'm just like you, or Vishrant said, then it's closer, because we're functioning more like you, like people, more ordinary. But Osho always said that, I'm just like you. The only thing that is different is that I'm awake and you are asleep. So, when somebody becomes awake, there is no separation. There's only one. So that's why me and my Master is one.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And Vishrant, if I could ask you the same.
I am Osho. I am Gautama the Buddha. I am Nisargadatta. I am Ramana Maharshi. I am all the awakened ones. How can I not be? It is not possible for me not to be, because I am everything. I am here now. I don't have a past. I don't have a future. But I am everything. And I am everyone. And you are me. And I am you. We are one. It is actually impossible not to be. The only thing that creates an illusion of separation is the ego. In truth, we are one, always one. I am Swaha too, and he is me. Osho was my spiritual master. The teachings that I teach are very, very similar to his because he was my spiritual master and I loved him and he was very accurate in his teachings. And so there's no pollution in there. It's very clean, it's very direct. He is a beautiful master and he is here. He can't be anywhere else. He is here. He is here. He is here.
The whole problem as such for people or for the humans as such in the spiritual search is that we are too identified with this name and form, which is the ego, mind, body. So when that is gone beyond, there is no separation. And everybody knows that in their soul, in their heart, because everything comes from God or love. So how can there be different? The problem and the suffering is when we get identified as somebody, which is the disease of the ego. So being free from that, there is no separation, which is what every master wants. That's what Osho wants. Wake up. I'm not teaching anything. That is why it's so difficult, because you are trying to teach that unteachable. And that's where love and intimacy and the guru, the master, is so important, because you have to have somebody that you fall in love with, that you trust, that you have that intimacy with. Otherwise it's impossible. And I had that with my master, and that's why it worked.
Yes.
That is the secret. You cannot find it in books, you cannot find it in thinking, you cannot find it by yourself. You need a master, you need a guru.
Agreed. You need a guide because you're lost. Osho was he was a wonderful master. He was a very beautiful man. I had so much gratitude to him after my first lot of satoris. I used to cry when I thought about him with gratitude, because I was a flower in his garden that was actually starting to bloom. And I thought back then, how can I ever repay this man for what has been found? And I couldn't come up with anything. And then I heard him one day speaking about it, and he's saying, wake up, become enlightened so you can be a light so others may see. And one of the motivators for me to surrender completely to truth, completely to heart, was this one thought: how can I pay Osho back? I can die completely for him. I can surrender unconditionally to truth for him, because he's my master, and I feel that I'd like to pay him back something of what he has given me. And so to this day, for 26 years, there's been a light here so others may see. This light was initiated by Bhagwan Shree Rajneesh.
That's why great is the fortune of the disciple, of the spiritual seeker who finds a guru. That's what they all been saying. They all needed a master, be that Jesus, Kabir, Rumi, Litsu. Everybody needed a master to wake up. And Kabir says, great is the fortune of the one who found the master. Because
Yes.
that's how I learned to see without eyes,
Yes.
to fly without wings.
Yes.
Great is the fortune
Absolutely.
of the disciple to find the
Yeah.
guru. There is no way to pay him back. But this, if anyway, this is the way to wake up, because that's what the master is there for. And people ask
Yes.
me that again and again in satsang also. What can I do for you? How can I repay? What can I do for you? You give so much. And I said, just wake up. That's be more conscious.
We say the same thing. Wake up.
Whatever stage you are on in your human experience, become more conscious, become more present, start becoming
Yes.
more
Yes.
here and now. That is it. That's how you be more
Yes.
loving,
Yes.
be more
Yes.
compassionate, be more friendly, be more playful. This is the thing. That's how you repay. And when you get it, if you wake up, then the master will embrace you and kiss you and love you and never separate from you, because it's all one.
Yes. So true. You're a romantic. That was very poetic. It was very beautiful. It's true. Very beautiful. Ah, lovely.
What a beautiful morning for me, and what a beautiful evening for you.
Hallelujah. What you were saying, Tosh?
You've both answered the questions already that I'd written down already.
Ah.
I find it very difficult to hold this interview.
That's a good sign of a disciple.
Very good sign.
You start getting intoxicated with the masters.
Yes.
You just go on, Tosh. You're doing good. Come on.
So one last question about this silence. I'll ask Vishrant first. What happens in your experience? What happens when two awake people or two masters come together like you are right now?
I feel the presence is greater than normal, but nothing happens. Because there's nothing happening. There's always nothing happening. Just people like to think there's something happening. There's two people who are awake, enjoying. That's about it. Playing like little children. And hopefully the play will catch on to others.
Yes.
Nothing is happening.
And they had the same beautiful master. So we have that love affair with the beloved master. So that's a link.
Yeah, our connection. Yeah, nice.
It's beautiful.
Thank you, Swaha.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Lovely, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ah, yeah! Air hugs. It is like being a little kid again, just playing and playing and playing.
Yes. That's the that's the beauty. That's the fragrance of Osho also. Love, laughter, silence. That's it.
Yeah.
Let's share
Absolutely.
that. Then we are sharing only that truth. That is the message of all the masters. God, are we in good company?
I feel like I've been in lovely company. Thank you very much. Namaste to you.
Jai Osho.
Yes. You're always welcome. You are always welcome. Bye-bye.